Almost 25 years ago, the North American Vegetarian Society created the Vegetarian Hall of Fame to honor those who have made particularly significant contributions to the advancement of vegetarianism. Past inductees have ranged from doctors and dietitians to filmmakers, magazine editors, groundbreaking cookbook authors, homesteaders, personal trainers, and humane educators. Hundreds and thousands of people in our world have had their eyes, minds, and hearts opened as a result of the work from this body of forward-thinking people. And tonight, someone in the audience will join the ranks of this distinguished list. And as always, the announcement will be a surprise to everyone here and to the person who will be receiving that. So first, let's take a moment to go over the names of the people who have received this in the past. We start with, let's see if, here we go. I'm not seeing it on my computer, so I'll have to do it like this. Jay and Freya Dinshaw, Helen and Scott Nearing, Michael Clapper, George Eisman, Paul Obis, Mahatma Gandhi, Alex Hershaft, Muriel Gold, Patricia Lambert, Howard Lyman, Charles Stoller, and Deborah Wasserman, Brian and Sharon Graff, Richard Schwartz, T. Colin Campbell, Brenda Davis, Joe Stepanek, Colleen Holland, Joe Connolly, Caldwell Esselstyn, Neil Barnard, Jenny Stein, and James Levesque, Ray Sikora, John Pierre, and Hans Deal. Let's give them a hand. So, I'm going to give you a few hints as to who this year's inductee is. All right, ready? Animal activist. That really narrows it down, right? Chef. Narrows it down a lot. Author. Anybody guess who it is yet? Okay, here's some more. By the way, I think this person is going to figure it out before the rest of us do. TV host. Chicken rescuer. Vegan food manufacturer, former bodybuilder, black hair, lived in Japan, did a cooking demo today, Miyoko Schinner. Where is she? Where is she? Where's Miyoko? Where is she? She's got to stand up. We have to see you, Miyoko. Where are you? We had somebody specially assigned to make sure that you'd be here, so I know you're here somewhere. There she is. You can stay in your seat for now, because we're going to do a whole presentation before you come up. You can stay in your seat for now. I know you're very surprised. When I was licking the bowl from the chocolate cake that you made this afternoon, and I was, asking you questions and stuff. All right, I am going to be telling you all a very interesting story with a little bit more detail than what I usually do in this presentation, because I think you'll find after you hear the whole story that it's definitely well worth the details. Miyoko was born in a small fishing village outside Tokyo, and she moved to the US with her family when she was still a child. When she was 12, she went on a camping trip and got placed in the vegetarian group. And as the story goes, she couldn't wait to get home so that she could eat her pork chops. But when she finally got home and she had the pork chops right in front of her, she took one look at them and realized that she couldn't eat them. She didn't realize that she had become vegetarian until she got home, and she never went back to eating meat again after that. So there she was, this 12-year-old girl living in a family of meat eaters, and she quickly learned that if she wanted to eat vegetarian, she would have to cook vegetarian. So she did. And guess what? She loved it. She got so into it. That didn't really click the way I wanted it to. She got so into it that as a teenager, she held baking contests, and she read through the entire Good Cook Time Life series, educating herself with every single word, learning the difference between sautéing and braising and stir-frying. She was really into cooking and baking. In her early 20s, she moved back to Japan, got into rich, creamy French cuisine, and then became vegan, which was the day that the real magic began, because since she was really into richness and also was vegan now, she started to veganize all those really rich, creamy dishes, which led to cooking demos in department stores and starting a wholesale bakery where she would bake, I think, 70 pounds of pound cake a week, and she would put it all into this backpack, and she would hop on the subway and go all over Tokyo delivering the pound cake to these stores. And all the while she was doing this, while she was doing the cooking demos in the department stores and running all over town delivering her pound cake, she was also teaching English, and she was moonlighting as a jazz singer, and she was also entering bodybuilding contests at the same time, and working on her first cookbook. So this was actually an exhausting time. Really, really exhausting. So one day she was approached by a person who said that he wanted to help her out. He had an investment offer. He wanted to invest in her baking business. It could take her to the next level. She would have the distribution that she wanted. She could probably slow down with some of the other stuff. And the potential seemed really wonderful until this would-be investor started to make really bizarre demands on her, and she just got the feeling that things weren't right. She didn't want to sign a contract with him because she didn't feel good about it. Turns out he was connected with the Japanese mafia. She said, "I don't want to work with you." He got really angry about that and kind of made it so that she couldn't really work anywhere because he didn't like that. You don't want to mess with those people. And that was right around the time that there was also a big earthquake in Japan. So she moved from Japan to San Francisco, and she started a vegan bakery. The bakery morphed into a cafe called Now and Zen, and as the menu evolved, it grew into a restaurant. And here is a review of that restaurant that's back, from 1995 in vegetarian times. Now, when the holidays rolled around in that restaurant, she started to serve this signature dish. It was a dish, made out of seitan with a crispy yuba shell, and everybody really loved it, and she called it the unturkey. She started to package the unturkey and brought it to the Expo East Natural Foods trade show, and within a month, she had $200,000 worth of orders for the unturkey. Now remember, she had a restaurant, not a manufacturing plant, and all of a sudden she had 200,000 orders. So as soon as those orders came in, she immediately sold the restaurant, changed the business into a manufacturing plant, took care of all the orders, got them all delivered by the holidays, and then as soon as all the orders were delivered, the question became, well, now what are we going to do the rest of the year? Nobody's going to buy this stuff until next fall, right? So, on a lark, she heard that, which airline was it? I have it written down. United Airlines was looking for a cookie that they could serve to a variety of different dietary needs. But the deadline for samples was in 2 days. Oh, here's my little slide for the United Airlines. Here it comes. So, so she raced to the kitchen, created a recipe, made the samples, got them delivered on time, and within a week, she received a massive order from United Airlines. So she immediately moved into a huge facility, got a massive oven, packaging machine, and she began to crank out about 10,000 cookies a day. So, after all of this, exhaustion started to set in. Something that had actually been kind of brewing since back in the restaurant days, when, by the way, she was also raising a young family, caring for her aging parents, dealing with a chef who turned out to have a heroin problem, and coming out with her second cookbook, The Now and Zen Epicure. So, she ended up selling the food manufacturing company for just enough to clear all her debt. She hopped on a plane for a family vacation, and she actually fainted on the plane from exhaustion somewhere over the Atlantic, as the story goes. But she was fine after that. She spent the next several years working in a high-paying, stress-free professional job, which actually sounds kind of good, right? But But it did not work for her because even though it was stress-free and even though it paid really well, it was not feeding her heart. It had nothing to do with veganism. It had nothing to do with making the world a better place. So she left that job. She realized she just couldn't do it anymore, and she decided just to go back to basics. You know, she listened to her heart, and what her heart was saying was go back to teaching cooking. So she said goodbye to all that stuff, and she went back to teaching cooking. And right around that time, she'd been playing around with some recipes for some cheeses she'd been creating, and so she decided to show them to her cooking students. And her students said, wow, this is really good. You've got to write a cookbook. And so she did. She wrote Artisan Vegan Cheese because of that. And after she wrote the cheese cookbook, people said, well, that's really great. Awesome cookbook. Now, why don't you make it so we don't have to and we can just buy it in the store? And so Miyoko's Kitchen was born. And within a year, the cheese-making company was turning a profit, and it was winning awards. And let's just talk for a second about vegan cheese. I mean, just take a look at that for a minute. Who here has ever heard anybody say, or who has said it themselves, I could never go vegan because I'm addicted to cheese, right? How we hear that? Well, tell them about this, because this is the gold standard now for plant-based cheese in the US and Europe. So it's safe to say that at this point, Miyoko has unfathomable wisdom when it comes to vegan food production, something that can only come from a lot of long, hard experience, warts and all, as they say. But she's also come to understand the challenges that are unique to vegan food manufacturers, that non-vegan food manufacturers don't necessarily have to deal with. And because of that, she and 6 other vegan leaders have formed the Plant-Based Foods Association to ensure a fair and competitive marketplace for businesses that are selling plant-based foods that are intended to replace animal products. So instead of just having the egg industry lobbying for certain rules, and the meat industry lobbying for certain rules, and the dairy industry lobbying for certain rules, we now have a plant-based association lobbying for certain rules. For example, getting rid of the labeling restrictions that say that you can't call vegan milk milk or vegan cheese cheese. That's a good one. They've entered the debate on public policy issues so that schools will eventually be able to be reimbursed for plant-based milks instead of just dairy milks. And they're engaging in education, public relations, and media outreach to increase the visibility of plant-based foods that replace their meat counterparts, to boost consumer acceptance, encouraging companies to say things like contains plant-based proteins right on the label, because when consumers see that, they think, ooh, that must mean it's really good. They're more likely to buy it. The people selling the vegan food are more likely to sell it. So this is very helpful for everybody. And they're doing a ton of work behind the scenes to help their members to promote their plant-based products. The goal, quite simply here, is simply to level the playing field for plant-based foods to compete in the marketplace, while, of course, educating the public as to the benefits of these products. And this is groundbreaking for the vegan marketplace. So Miyoko's cultured nut products might actually be called cheese in the very near future. So Miyoko, of course, you're already probably thinking about using up your old packaging, I'm sure. So Miyoko's story is about perseverance. It's about never giving up on a dream. It's about passion for the greater good, and it's about listening to our heart rather than just chasing the next financial opportunity. Now, as her friend Maggie says, Miyoko made it through because she woke up to who she really is. She tapped into her creativity and her vegan lifestyle, and she made another go of it. Finally, she's in the right place at the right time. She's not so far ahead of the game like she used to be, and she's mature enough to know what questions to ask and how to proceed. Miyoko's 4th cookbook was just released, proving on multiple levels that she's just as much about homemade cooking as she is about commercial convenience. She co-hosts the national cooking show Vegan Mashup, and she stars in her own online show called Miyoko's Kitchen. And she takes in rescued chickens. Miyoko Schinner has been pivotal in changing the landscape of commercial vegan food, but it's clear that her underlying dedication is helping people to embrace a more humane and environmentally friendly lifestyle. Even when she describes her company, she makes sure to point out that it's run by a team of people who have a passion for animal rights, not just vegan cuisine. On her website, she writes, "I'm grateful to have been blessed with a life that allows me every day to rise and greet my ever-growing flock of rescued chickens, run with my dogs, cuddle with my cats, and enjoy life's adventures with my human family. I hope I can continue working the rest of my life to inspire people through delicious food to adopt a life that can save animals, the environment, and the earth." Thank you, Miyoko, for your perseverance and dedication. We benefit from your recipes and your food products. And we also benefit because of the manner in which you're applying your commercial knowledge with these other vegan leaders. And now I'd like to ask Miyoko Schinner to come up to the podium to accept her induction into the Hall of Fame. Right over there. You've done really well. Everybody knows it. You've worked really hard. I know. Oh, I have my ways. I'll tell you after. Oh, let me just give you this award first. So Miyoko, on behalf of the Board of Trustees of the North American Vegetarian Society, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we welcome you into the Vegetarian Hall of Fame. You can say a few words.
I think when I started cooking, I had no idea what the power of food was. It took me 40 years to figure out that food is the most important thing we can do. It's the most powerful tool we have to change the world, our health, and the lives of animals. And it's been an evolution for me. And I just want to say that for me, the most important thing in my life right now are my animals. From chickens, we went to adopting farm animals. This is Angel, our most recent adoptee. She's the sweetest dairy cow, and she'll never be enslaved. She'll never be raped. Her children will never be taken away from her. She'll be able to live her life in peace on our ranch. And that's the most, I don't know, I just feel like I'm so blessed. I've been able to, everyone here has the opportunity to create impact in life in this world and make this world a better place. Every single one of us has that power. And sometimes it takes longer to feel your own power, but persevere, stay with it, because everyone here has so much to give. And the more we can give, the more blessed we feel, because the more fulfilled we feel. So thank you so much. I can't believe this. I mean, this is beyond my wildest dreams too. I can't believe it. Thank you so much.